Maybe food poisoning is the answer? Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and the Toronto Maple Leafs faced off with the Tampa Bay Lightning for Game 2 of their first round series last night. And as scheduling would have it, the Rockford Ice Hogs played their first game of the AHL Calder Cup playoffs last night as well. I was at that game, that's why my voice is a bit rough today. They did win, so there's that, that's exciting. But the Leafs game was on at the exact same time that I was down there at the BMO Harris Bank Center, so I had to watch it last night. Well, I watched period 1 last night, and then it got pretty late, so I watched the last 2 periods today. So here I am to talk about game number 2 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. There was only one real lineup change. Of course, Kyle Clifford came out because he was suspended for a game, and Michael Bunting was back. He came back from injury. He was back on that top line with Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner. And we learned that William Nylander played with food poisoning in game number 1. Of course, the Leafs won game number 1, and as you already know, the Maple Leafs lost game number 2. So as I said right at the top, maybe food poisoning is just the answer. I don't know why that would be, but hey, stranger things have probably happened, right? Not that I would recommend Leafs players go out and intentionally try to get food poisoning because it is rather miserable. I don't know how Willie played through that. He was apparently throwing up before the game, but whatever works, I guess. So to kick this one off talking about game number 2, let's go through the 3 questions that I had for last night's game. Question 1, can the Maple Leafs open up game number 2 riding the momentum from game 1? I would say yes and no. The first period really wasn't bad, but it wasn't bad for either team. Both the Leafs and the Lightning had great chances back and forth. Andrei Vasilevskiy and Jack Campbell had to make some big saves for their respective teams, and it was a fairly decent start. The Leafs didn't really come out lighting the world on fire, but they also didn't come out looking like they weren't prepared for the start of the game. And David Kampf picked up where he left off in game number 1 because he had another partial breakaway in the first period. Unfortunately, he didn't score on that one, but hey, he's got some energy to his game in this series. But it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine, which brings me to question 2. Can the Leafs stay out of the box? In game number 1, their penalty kill was absolutely fantastic. You could say that they fed off of the momentum that they gained from killing penalties, especially a 5-minute major in the first period. And I guess maybe they thought they could keep that going because they certainly did not stay out of the box in game number 2. They took 7 penalties, and the Lightning scored on 3 of them. Say what you want about the officiating. Again, I wasn't watching this game in real time last night, but I was on Twitter during stoppages in play in the Ice Hogs game and during intermissions, and I was seeing people complaining about the officiating of the game, saying it wasn't fair. And to that, I have to say, if you're watching NHL hockey for fair officiating, then maybe you're watching the wrong thing. Because it's never been fair, and it probably never will be fair. But after watching this game back, my qualm wasn't with the officiating in this game. Sure, did Tampa Bay get away with some things that should have probably been called? Yes. Absolutely, but the Leafs probably did as well. Did the Leafs have some calls that were weak? I would argue that yes, they did, but that also happens all the time. A lot of what the Leafs were called for were genuine penalties, and that's on them to cut down on that, especially when in game number 1, they also ran into penalty trouble. Maybe I would have a bigger problem with this if they were just absolutely perfect in game number 1, didn't take any penalties at all, then came into game number 2 and all of a sudden they get 7 called against them. Now that would be a lot stranger, but we saw how they did run into this problem in game number 1. They ran into this problem again in game number 2, and at least 2 of those, and 2 that they got scored on, were pretty undisciplined plays, and specifically they were both from Wayne Simmons, unfortunately. But since we are here talking about special teams and the Leafs getting scored on, let's just go through the goals and talk about how this game happened. In period number 1, with 44.2 seconds to go, Alexander Kerfoot went to the box for holding against Brandon Hagel. And of course, the first penalty of the game for the Maple Leafs was on Mark Giordano for also holding Brandon Hagel. I knew that there was going to be mass pain in this series for me involving Bagel because I'm still upset about the trade from the Blackhawks, like I mentioned in the first video. So I knew it was going to be a thing. And now he can't stop drawing penalties against the Leafs. It was always going to be a thing. I am sorry it is a thing, but it is a thing and it hurts me. Anyway, the Leafs almost got out of the first period with it being scoreless. But of course, Victor Hedman skates the puck into the offensive zone with about 8 seconds left on the clock. The puck gets knocked off of his stick and it goes back to the blue line where Alex Killorn keeps it in. He shoots it toward the net. The rebound goes off of like a pile of Leafs players and I think some Lightning players right in front of Jack Campbell. And of course, the puck just happens to find its way over to Victor Hedman, who is standing all by himself right there on Jack Campbell's glove side. He gets the puck, he just waits, and then Jack goes down anticipating, I guess, a backdoor pass or shooting against the grain toward the stick side. But he doesn't. He goes back toward that glove side where he is standing. Jack kind of looks silly flopping around in the crease there, but he was left all alone, and Victor Hedman is pretty good at hockey, and he scores with just over 2 seconds left. Why is it always Victor Hedman scoring at the end of periods, be it within the final second, the final few seconds? This has happened multiple times to the Blackhawks within the past 2 seasons, and now it happens here again against the Maple Leafs in game number 2. I don't know what it is about Victor Hedman and the end of periods, but if he has the puck on his stick, he's probably going to score. I'm pretty sure he got a goal against the Hawks with like 1/10 of a second left on the clock. Infuriating. But it happened again, and all you can do is go into the intermission and move past it. Especially since there were a lot of times during that first period where the Maple Leafs looked like the better team. Of course, as I said, both teams did have good scoring chances, but only being down 1-0 didn't seem like a huge hill to climb there. The Leafs could come back, get a goal, tie it up, no big deal. So on to period 2 we go, and the Leafs do almost tie this thing up. About 1.5 minutes into that second period, Andrei Vasilevskiy comes up with a massive, absolutely massive glove save on Timothy Liljegren from the slot. There were some scrambly moments in the Tampa Bay crease. The Leafs came out flying in that second period. They were shooting pucks at Vasi. There was a lot of chaos happening. The puck pops out to Liljegren in the slot. He has the top glove side just wide open until he doesn't. Because as quick as lightning, Andrei Vasilevskiy's glove shoots up and catches it, and the game remains 1-0 in favor of his obnoxious team. And then 2 minutes and 21 seconds into the second period, Corey Perry has the puck. He hands it off to, once again, Victor Hedman with just a short little pass, and then he cuts toward the offensive zone. Victor Hedman finds him with a very nice long stretch pass, and then Corey Perry is in all alone on the breakaway with Jack Campbell, and he scores 5-hole. Once again, it kind of looked like Campbell was stuck in between decisions that he was making. Like he wasn't quite sure if he was going to focus on the puck going glove side or 5-hole, or if he was going to do something else. He just kind of got stuck and the puck went through his legs. Now, I say that, and I say that it happened again because, like I said, he looked kind of silly on the first goal, but Jack Campbell had a very good game last night despite being scored on 5 times. He had to come up with some huge stops that kept the Leafs in this game at times when they were in the game, and he also allowed them to try to mount some sort of a comeback. So while you may look at the final score and see that it was 5-3, Jack Campbell played very well for the Leafs last night. This loss was not on him at all. Do you want him to stop that first and or second goal? Of course, you want him to stop all of the pucks that come his way. But at the end of the day, there's only so much that a goaltender can do, and he put in a lot of work throughout this game. The guys in front of him really have to help him him out, and they did a great job of that in game number 1. Less so here in game number 2. They didn't look overly terrible. They just didn't look like they were playing at that same level that they were in game number 1, and obviously the outcome of the game spelled that out for us. Even though the Leafs were down 2-0 at that point, they didn't just roll over and die and just kind of accept their fate that they were down and maybe not going to be able to score on Vasilevskiy because he's obviously capable of stealing games and playing great. He made that fantastic save on Timothy Liljegren earlier in the game. But no, the Leafs kept pressuring, and it was nice to see them keeping up that pressure, keeping their feet moving, getting chances, still playing defensively in their own end when they had to. The Leafs were able to control parts of this game, even when they were down. Again, they didn't look as dominant as they did in game number 1, but Tampa Bay also looked better than they did in game number 1. And 7 minutes and 47 seconds into that second period, the Leafs not giving up finally paid off for them. Auston Matthews with huge effort on the forecheck in the offensive zone. He pressured Ryan McDonagh, got the puck off of his stick, and he kind of did it by hitting him, but Matthews also fell down in the process. But while he was falling down, he was able to get his stick out and tap the puck over to Mitch Marner, which then forced a 2-on-1 with Mitch Marner, Michael Bunting, and then a defender for the Lightning, and of course, Andrei Vasilevskiy. And here is where I'm going to pause before we talk about what happened next, because it must be mentioned how good of a game that Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner had once again. After everything that was said about them after last year's playoffs, they have come into this season and these playoffs specifically, and they have been the best players out there on the ice for Toronto, and that is just fantastic for the team. It's great for the fans to see. I don't know about you, but it fills me with confidence about this team. Matthews looks like an absolute man possessed out there. He's strong on the forecheck. He's laying the body. He's not giving up on plays. He's all over the puck. He's setting guys up. He's taking shots himself. He's just all over the place, and Mitch is doing much of the same. Those two guys have looked great so far. But back to the play at hand. Auston Matthews had gotten the puck over to Mitch Marner with just a sweet little tap of the puck as he was falling. Mitch sees Michael Bunting over to his left, gets the puck to him. Bunting snipes that puck top shelf on Andrei Vasilevskiy's stick side, and the Leafs were on the board. The score was only 2-1. That's not insurmountable at all, and it was Michael Bunting's first NHL playoff goal in his first game back from injury. His first playoff goal, assisted by, of course, Mitch Marner and Auston Matthews. You love to see that. The guys who need to score, the guys who need to put up points, are doing so. It's only game number 2, but they look good. With 10 minutes and 32 seconds to play in the second period, Patrick Maroon and Corey Perry get in on a scoring chance together. The puck does get behind Jack Campbell, but it just kind of dies in the crease, and he's able to find it and maneuver himself backward to cover up the puck. But right after that, Wayne Simmons knocks down Bellemare to the ice, and off to the box he goes for the first of those 2 penalties that I had mentioned before. It was such a needless play, which is so infuriating looking back in hindsight, knowing how this game turned out. Jack already had the puck covered up, and yeah, maybe he thought he was clearing out the crease so people wouldn't keep poking at him, but Bellemare was far enough away from Jack where that excuse just doesn't really make sense here. It was a bad penalty, but off to the penalty kill the Maple Leafs go. And they're doing a pretty good job of killing the penalty. Then they get possession of the puck. David Kampf has it. He tries to pass it to TJ Brodie, who doesn't have a stick. Now, obviously, well, I want to say, obviously, Kampf did not know that Brodie did not have a stick, because if he did know that he didn't have a stick, why would he pass it to him? But he did pass it to him, and bless Brodie's soul, he tries to kick the puck away, but Steven Stamkos gets said puck. He sweeps it up the boards. Victor Hedman keeps it at the blue line, swings that puck over to Nikita Kucherov, and I said, in the last video, if you're gonna keep taking penalties against this Tampa Bay Lightning team, you're gonna wake up the big guys. Eventually, they're going to start clicking, and they're going to get some confidence on the power play, and Kucherov wasn't shooting the puck in the last game. They kept looking for Stamkos, but this time, after Hedman sweeps the puck over to Kucherov, he walks down into the right faceoff circle and just rips the puck into the net. It goes over Jack Campbell's glove hand. Again, that wasn't his fault. He was being screened, one by Jake Muzzin, and watching the replay, it looked like it maybe just might have glanced off of Muzzin's stick as he tries to block the shot. I couldn't really tell. I watched it a few times. Sometimes I thought, yeah, maybe it did touch a piece of it. Other times I thought, no, the shot just went in clean. Doesn't really matter. The score was 3-1 in favor of Tampa. And that's how they went into the second intermission. The Leafs only have a 2-goal deficit. They are more than capable of scoring 2 goals. So we enter the third period, and 1 minute and 33 seconds into said third period, Nikita Kucherov has the puck entering the offensive zone. He's on a 3-on-2 with Nick Paul and also Brandon Hagel. The two Leafs back were Timothy Liljegren and William Nylander. Kucherov hits Nick Paul with the pass. Nick Paul gets the puck to the front of the net, hoping for a redirection. And as Brandon Hagel is driving to the net, he gets his stick out and tips the puck past Jack Campbell. Brandon Hagel has his first NHL playoff goal, and I am in pain. Look, sure, I'm happy for him. I love to see him doing well, and he has played very well in this series so far, but the unfortunate part is that he is playing my Maple Leafs, so I cannot just sit here and watch them lose in some sort of sad piece. My sad piece has to be disturbed by pain by my other team making a trade that upset me. No, I won't stop bringing it up. I don't care what we got in return. So the score was 4-1 in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning, only a minute and a half into the third period. A 3-goal deficit is a little bit harder to overcome in one period than a 2-goal deficit, but Jack Campbell is doing his best to give his guys a shot. 4.5 minutes into the third, he makes a huge stop on a Nikita Kucherov breakaway, but about 30 seconds later, Wayne Simmons goes back to the penalty box for a cross-checking call on Corey Perry. And then 5 minutes and 38 seconds into the third period, off of a perfect passing play, Kucherov gets the puck behind the net, slings it up to Victor Hedman at the point. He returns to his spot near that right circle. Hedman puts a slap pass onto his stick. He has a nice one-touch pass onto the stick of Braden Point, who then settles the puck down with his skate, gets the puck on his stick, and shoots it home, and it is 5-1 in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning. A 4-goal deficit is even tougher to overcome than a 3-goal deficit, and now time has run off of the clock as well. But again, much like in that second period, the Leafs did not just roll over and die. When they got down 5-1, it would have been very easy to feel demoralized and just give up on the game at that point. But 11 minutes and 53 seconds into the third period, Auston Matthews wins a faceoff. The puck gets back to Mitch Marner, who takes a shot from the high slot. Vasilevskiy makes the stop, but Jake Muzzin does get the rebound, sends it back up to Mitch Marner, who sort of fakes a shot from the same area, but he holds onto it. And that one little move where he kind of looks like he's gonna shoot and then doesn't, gets Vasilevskiy to freeze just the slightest amount and drop down a little lower into his stance. He loses sight of the puck. Mitchie just waits and waits until he sees the opening, gets the puck toward the net, and it just kind of skips in. It wasn't the hardest shot, it wasn't the prettiest shot, it wasn't the cleanest shot, but it didn't have to be because it went into the net. And so it's 5-2, still in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning, but the Leafs did not give up and they got another goal on Andrei Vasilevskiy. Now, he's not some god that just can't be scored on ever, but Vasi is a very good goaltender. I don't have to sit here and tell you guys that. So anytime they can put the puck into the net is good news for the Leafs, even if, like in this game, they do end up losing. You really don't want Vasilevskiy to be out here and start getting shutouts, because then you might just awaken some sort of monster within him. But with 5:06 to go in the third period, the Leafs once again are playing with fire. Michael Bunting goes off for slashing, but this time Tampa Bay didn't score on the power play. 15 minutes and 43 seconds into the third period, with time winding down, TJ Brodie is pressuring the puck on the PK in the defensive zone. He ends up stealing the puck and getting sort of in on a partial breakaway along with Victor Hedman. He looks around, he finds Kerfoot trailing him into the zone. He sends a nice little pass over to Alexander Kerfoot, who then just puts the puck past Andrei Vasilevskiy 5-3. So the Leafs are back within 2 goals, but there is less than 5 minutes remaining in the third period. That's a tough task. They've done it before. They are fully capable of coming back and scoring 2 goals in quick succession. And then with 2 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the third, they go to the power play, where Vasilevskiy comes up with a stick save on Auston Matthews. It is the knob of the stick. You cannot get any closer. And then the Leafs don't register an actual shot on goal in the last minute and a half of the game. They were getting shots toward the net, but none of them were registered as hitting the goaltender. They were either blocked or they were shot wide, and the Leafs fall in game number 2, 5-3. I refuse to overreact to one game. And the Leafs did play well in this one, despite the final score. And going back to question number 3 that I had for this game, will Mitch Marner come in and continue with his high level of play? Yeah, he did. Like I said earlier, Mitch and Auston both looked really good in this game. It was just very unfortunate that they could not stay out of the box. They absolutely have to play more disciplined hockey. As of today, Sheldon Keefe hadn't made any lineup decisions, or so he said in his presser. So it remains to be seen if Jason Spezza will see ice time in game number 3, or if there will be any other changes, who knows, but one thing is for sure, that is that they have to stay out of the box. And looking ahead to game number 3, is it time to put William Nylander on the second line? I don't understand why he's playing further down in the lineup. Sure, maybe he had good chemistry with Alexander Kerfoot last year in the playoffs, but he was also the best forward out there for them last year, and now he's really not doing a whole lot. So is it time to elevate him up the lineup, get him some more ice time, see if maybe he can make something happen? Especially since another point going into the next game is, beside face-off wins, John Tavares has been MIA. So is it time to play Willie with Tavares, see if they can get something going? I don't know. I would like to try it, just see what happens, why not? But I also understand that the Leafs have played very well. Obviously, they played extremely well in game number 1, and they played very well in game number 2 as well. So I could understand not really wanting to mess with the lineup too much, but maybe should things go south in game number 3, which hopefully they don't, but if they should, maybe it's time to move Willie on up and just see what happens. But that is all for me here in this video. How are you feeling about this series so far? It is tied 1-1. It now heads back to Tampa Bay. They play Friday night in Florida. Are you worried after the Leafs lost game number 2? Are you confident that they are going to bounce back? Let me know how you're feeling down in the comments. If you would like to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head on over to FromCenterIce.com. There's links to all the places you can find us over there, or you can follow us on social media. All of the links for those platforms are down in the description. With all of that being said, thank you so very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you all after game number 3. Bye, guys.